Every great team has something you can't quite measure. It's not written in job descriptions or captured in KPIs. It's something you feel, an invisible thread that runs between the people, the purpose, and the leader who connects them. You can sense it in the way they communicate, open, unguarded, committed. You can see it in the way they recover from setbacks, together, not apart. You can hear it in the silence between words, the trust that doesn't need to be spoken. These teams don't just work for their leader, they believe with their leader. And when you ask what makes them different, they rarely mention strategy or structure. They talk about habits. Because team culture isn't something you declare. It's something you do, daily, repeatedly, relentlessly, until it becomes who you are. Leadership isn't about holding people together. It's about building something that holds itself. And the leaders who build unbreakable teams share 6 hidden habits, quiet disciplines that turn ordinary groups into extraordinary movements. Let's count them down. Habit number 6, they cultivate trust before talent. Most leaders start by recruiting talent, the best resumes, the sharpest skills, the highest performers. But high talent without high trust creates fragile brilliance. Trust is the foundation that turns skill into synergy. You can't build an unbreakable team if people are afraid to be honest, to fail, or to disagree. Because a team that hides problems to protect their image is a team walking toward collapse. One leader I coached, Vanessa, led a department full of top performers. But the tension was thick. Meetings were quiet. Ideas were filtered. Everyone looked at her before answering questions. She thought it was respect. It was fear. The turning point came when she shared a mistake of her own, publicly, honestly, without excuse. The next week, her team started opening up. That one act of vulnerability unlocked more progress than 6 months of planning sessions. That's the paradox of leadership. People trust you more when you admit you're human. Trust builds safety. Safety builds openness. Openness builds innovation. Talent may attract people to your team, but trust keeps them there. Consider this leadership mindset habit. Where are you trying to earn performance before you've built trust? What one act of openness could strengthen your team's foundation this week? Habit number 5, they choose clarity over comfort. Clarity is kindness. Confusion is cruelty. But many leaders avoid clarity because it's uncomfortable. And in doing so, they create the very chaos they wanted to prevent. Clarity means being honest about expectations, timelines, and standards, even when it might upset someone. Comfort says, let's not make waves. Clarity says, let's make progress. A manager named Luis once told me, I hate confrontation. His team was kind, but they were also confused. Deadlines slipped. Accountability faded. He thought he was preserving harmony, but he was actually eroding trust. When Luis finally started having direct, respectful conversations, not cruel, just clear, everything changed. People stopped guessing. They started aligning. The best leaders don't use clarity as a weapon, they use it as a compass. Because when everyone knows the direction, they stop wasting energy wondering what matters most. Comfort feels good in the moment. Clarity builds strength for the future. Consider this leadership mindset habit. Where are you choosing comfort over clarity? What one conversation could you have this week that replaces confusion with direction? Habit number 4. They build systems that replace stress. Great teams don't run on adrenaline. They run on alignment. When everything depends on heroics and hustle, burnout isn't a risk, it's a guarantee. Leaders who build unbreakable teams don't rely on motivation or constant reminders. They build systems that make success automatic. Think of it like this. A system is simply a structure that makes the right thing easy and the wrong thing hard. One operations director, Priya, had a small team that handled massive workloads. They were capable, but constantly behind. Instead of pushing harder, she built smarter. She simplified check-ins, automated reports, and clarified handoffs. Within 2 months, their stress dropped and productivity rose. Because systems create rhythm. Rhythm creates predictability. And predictability builds calm. A stressed team can perform, but a structured team can sustain. Consider this leadership mindset habit. Where is your team relying on effort when they could be relying on structure? What one system could you create this week to replace stress with rhythm? Habit number 3, they give credit and share pressure. Average leaders hoard praise and distribute blame. Exceptional leaders do the opposite. When something goes right, they shine the spotlight outward. When something goes wrong, they pull responsibility inward. That's what builds loyalty. One of the most admired military officers I ever studied had a saying, "When it works, it's theirs. When it fails, it's mine." His troops would have followed him anywhere. Because leadership isn't about recognition, it's about responsibility. When you give credit away, you multiply confidence. When you absorb pressure, you protect trust. That's why the most cohesive teams have leaders who aren't trying to look impressive. They're trying to be dependable. And when people feel protected, they perform beyond expectation. Consider this leadership mindset habit. Where could you give credit more generously and take pressure more personally? What would your team's energy look like if they knew you always had their back? Habit number 2, they turn feedback into fuel. Feedback is leadership oxygen. Without it, growth suffocates. But most teams avoid it because they've learned that feedback equals criticism. Unbreakable teams see feedback differently. They treat it like information, not insult. And their leaders model that mindset first. One CEO I spoke with starts every quarterly meeting by asking her team 2 questions. 1. What's one thing I did that helped you this quarter? 2. What's one thing I did that made your job harder? She listens. She takes notes. She never argues. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Because if your people can't tell you the truth, you'll lead on assumptions instead of reality. Feedback doesn't threaten great leaders, it refines them. And the more you normalize feedback, the less emotional it becomes. It turns from personal attack into professional alignment. Leaders who turn feedback into fuel don't just grow, they evolve. Consider this leadership mindset habit. When was the last time you invited feedback instead of waiting for it? What one piece of input could accelerate your growth if you had the courage to hear it? Habit number 1. They focus on belonging, not just buy-in. This is the deepest layer, the one that separates good teams from great ones. Buy-in is agreement. Belonging is connection. You can get buy-in with logic, a clear plan, a strong goal. But belonging requires heart. When people feel like they belong, they don't just show up, they show care. They take ownership not because they have to, but because they want to. A leader named Jonah led a team through a major merger. Half the staff feared layoffs. Morale was collapsing. Instead of rushing into strategy, he focused on story. He held a meeting and said, "I know you're scared. I am too. But we're going to build something new together, not because we have to, but because we get to." That sentence changed the room. People cried. They connected. They leaned in. That's belonging, the invisible glue of unbreakable teams. Buy-in makes people comply. Belonging makes them commit. Consider this leadership mindset habit. What's one way you could help your team feel seen, safe, and significant this week? How would your leadership change if your goal wasn't just agreement, but belonging? Let's recap the 6 hidden habits of leaders who build unbreakable teams. Habit number 6, they cultivate trust before talent. Habit number 5, they choose clarity over comfort. Habit number 4, they build systems that replace stress. Habit number 3, they give credit and share pressure. Habit number 2, they turn feedback into fuel. Habit number 1, they focus on belonging, not just buy-in. Unbreakable teams don't happen by accident. They're built, habit by habit, through leaders who prioritize connection over control and culture over command. You can't protect your team from every challenge, but you can prepare them to face it together. Here's your leadership mindset challenge. Pick one of these 6 habits and practice it for the next 7 days. Ask your team to hold you accountable, and then ask them what changed. Because strong leaders don't just build teams, they build people who build together. If this episode inspired you, share it with another leader who's trying to strengthen their team from the inside out. Follow Leadership Mindset Daily for daily stories, habits, and mindset shifts that grow influence and impact, one day at a time. This is Leadership Mindset Daily. Mindset matters. Leadership matters. You matter. Follow Leadership Mindset Daily on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, and X for your daily dose of proven leadership development tips, tricks, and techniques. See you tomorrow.